Hi, welcome to the channel. I'm Chris Lado. Today's video is a live stream from Saturday night. So it was late night, Saturday night. Andy from New York, he's a UAP investigator, had his own UFO experience when he was a kid. And ever since then, it's changed his life. And he's been focused on investigating UAPs ever since then. So he asked if I'd like to do a discussion with him, Dave Falch, Max Moszkowicz, and Vinnie from the UK. And I said, definitely. So the only time we could organize it was Saturday night. I live in Europe, so it was late Saturday night for myself, for Vinnie, as well as Max. So it's an informal discussion. We go through, kind of give you a little behind the scenes. Out of the 5 of us in the discussion, 3 of us, not including me, have seen UAPs and videoed as well. So exciting video, informal. Okay, so there is some cussing. It's late Saturday night. So please take that with a grain of salt, but I think all of the discussion is very important and serious, and I think there is some emotional content in there. You know, I think ultimately at the end of the day it's an emotional topic because it really drives to the heart of all of our beliefs, our worldviews, you know, what it means to be human. So I think that does come down to some emotional content. Hope you enjoy it. This was actually a Patreon only live stream to keep it small, provide value to my motivated Patreons. If you'd like to join the team, please consider joining at patreon.com/Chris Lado. Please like if you like the video. It really helps the algorithm. It'll start sharing this information. I think the more information we get out there, you'll see in here, the more people that share their own experiences, then the more people that will come out and feel comfortable sharing their own experiences. If you like the content, please like. Always just being here with an open mind is the best form of support. And if you'd like to get notifications, please subscribe, and you can click the little bell button to get notifications when I release videos, which I try and do at least once a week. I'm trying to get up to twice a week, but then I get overtasked. Without any further me yapping, let's get into the live stream. So welcome. This is a informal live stream just with Patreons. So, and then I'm recording it and then I will broadcast it later. So welcome to all of our viewers. It should be very exciting today. I'm happy to have Andy from New York on. So Andy is a UAP researcher from New York. This quote, after my own personal close encounter, I've devoted my life to understanding what I saw, why I saw it, and the significance of their existence to the human race. So that's your quote, Andy. Welcome.
Thank you very much.
Okay, Max Moszkowicz, Dutch journalist, filmmaker covering UAP in the Netherlands and international podcast. Excellent. And then we have Dave Falch. Dave, you've been on the show before. Awesome work. Before further ado, why don't we just start talking about UAPs and this one in particular. And it's only 40 seconds. So why don't we just watch it through, and then you can tell us some background on the video, how you made it maybe. And I had a particular question on if you're moving the camera right now or if it's moving.
Yeah, I get that question a lot. That is me moving the force transducer to center that object. That object never moved. It just sat in the sky, kind of like geosynchronous.
Yeah, which is interesting, right? I just released a video yesterday about Ryan Graves' presentation. I thought his presentation was awesome. I don't know. Had anyone seen that before? Has that been released? Has he been now giving that presentation and I just haven't seen it? You guys know. At any rate, you said you're not moving it. And I was confused there because if you look down here, the heading, doesn't change. But I'm guessing it's decoupled. That's what I'm guessing. Is that correct?
Well, I think it's more of a fine tuning to actually see the increments move on those scales.
Okay.
Because you're zoomed out.
So, you're right. It does barely move. Yeah, it's so zoomed in.
The two kind of out of focus halos that you see either to the right or the left.
Yeah.
That's probably FOD internal of the optics. So this happens a lot, and I get these questions a lot. That's on the lens that we have to dig in there and clean out the lenses. So that's what those are. Those don't have anything to do with the video.
And so we have Trevor Mays. Welcome. He's Patreon, and Raspberry Antelope. Okay, welcome. So go ahead. So the idea is that we're keeping it small, and trying to integrate. Trevor, any questions you have, man, this is the time to ask. You're basically on the live stream. So thanks for your support. Thanks for being a Patreon. So go ahead and talk through basically.
Oh, this was December 8th in 2016. That's the title. So I was actually typing an email to somebody, and a coworker came up to me and said, "Hey, man, I mean, can I curse on this show?"
Yes. Fuck yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Fuck it.
He said, "Hey, man, you got to check this shit out. Well, there's this thing out back." And at first I was kind of annoyed because I was writing my train of thought, type into a vendor or something. But I know he's not going to come get me for no reason. So I went out into the back where we stage our systems to look and get like a world view of what's going on out there. And he had one set out there, and he was focused on this object. And I said, "Well, what the hell is that?" He said, "I don't know. I've been sitting here looking at it for like 10, 15 minutes. He went and smoked a cigarette, and the thing just stayed there." So I picked up, the hand control, and I moved it around. The first thing I thought was it might be like a group of dead pixels, like a cluster. So I moved that's why you see it zigzag like an Etch-a-Sketch.
Okay.
I was like, "Oh, it's not dead pixels," because the whole screen would move,
This halo would move, right? Because you said that's inside the optics, or no?
No,
Because that doesn't move.
Yeah, those were retained because they're on the optics. They're going to stay at the same place. If there was dead pixels, the pixels would stay stationary, just like the halos. They're internal of the DOER, the DIM, the infrared detector. And we have a way to do a IR calibration and a dead pixel kill, but that's the first thing I eliminated out of the equation is dead pixels.
How would you know if it's a dead pixel in this case?
It would stay in the same place.
Okay.
It wouldn't move at all. I looked at this and I said, "Well, has it moved at all?" And he's like, "No, it hasn't moved at all." Okay, well, that's weird because even the moon will kind of gradually drift as we're watching it.
Yeah.
Nothing stays the same. Andy, you know that probably from seeing these.
Yeah.
That everything moves. Birds, even if it was a blimp, it would be moving somehow. You'd see a little bit of movement.
Hi. Sorry, welcome to Vinnie. Hello. You had a
Hello,
previous
guys.
Engagement?
Yeah, sorry I'm late. Just want to quickly jump in and say, Dave, it's a pleasure to meet you. Chris, thank you so much. I'm a follower of both of your work, so thank you. This is fascinating, so please carry on.
All right, excellent. Welcome, Vinnie. Yeah, really, anybody pitch in. The idea is it's informal. I'm recording it. We can always cut it out if it's just terrible or something like that. But yeah, please speak up, and you can cuss and smoke, whatever you want to do.
Thank you so much.
All right, thanks.
So, Dave, how long did you see it for?
It was about 5 minutes, and it was the same thing. So I figured there's no point in videotaping anymore if we're just seeing the same video.
So basically just stood there even after you finished recording?
Yeah, just sat there and watched it. And I said, let's get this. See, this is what I would call a crap FLIR. It's an analog FLIR. So I said, let's get this out of here and put a high def FLIR in place. And so we moved it out of the way, put the new high def FLIR in place, plugged it in, and you got to wait about 4 or 5 minutes for it to cryogenically cool. And during that time, the thing just left. We tried to reacquire it in the same spot in the sky, and it was just gone, which was very disappointing because if I might have just had a little more patience, we could have seen it like zip off or do whatever it did. But it is what it is. I got what I got. But this has been on YouTube for like 5 years now.
Yeah.
I did a comparison video where I showed birds and jets and the moon and Venus and all that other kind of stuff. But I was talking to Andy last night, and he said, "Do you have a high def version of this?" And I said, "You know what? I don't know." Because Andy, didn't you say it was like a standard definition?
I think it was like 240p or something like that it was uploaded at, the original.
Yeah. Wow. I just, during my process of the movie making, I guess I just, instead of saving it for high def, I saved it for standard or whatever. So that was on me, but I just put this on the internet to show what it looked like in high def.
Is this why you started YouTubing, Dave?
Yeah, this is what got me into the whole thing.
It was this video, or?
Yeah, this.
So this is your first experience?
Yeah, my first and only experience.
What an experience to actually get on FLIR and be able to switch between infrared and visual and see that there's nothing there which you're looking at it normally.
Yeah.
But switching over to infrared, there's an actual object sitting right there in the sky.
Yeah,
It
right
blows my
here.
mind.
So
Yeah.
it's not like something that you had to question yourself after seeing it. You actually were recording it as you saw it.
Right. And these are two different cameras. You have the EON and the EOW, electro-optics narrow and the electro-optics wide. So it's not a discrepancy with one of the cameras. You should have seen something there when you switched over.
So what's this black and white part here? What is this? Because you have IR here, right? And then it goes to this kind of gray out.
That's probably that's a daylight camera. That's probably EON.
Okay.
You
Yeah,
just
it
don't
looked like
have any-
clouds initially. I was like, oh, there's clouds. Maybe it's obscured by clouds, and then it goes to the regular optical, and I'm like, nope.
Yeah.
Like, it's crystal clear.
It's
I'm
just
actually-
a different color.
I'm kind of glad that you got it in that, like it was just sitting static in the sky, because I try to explain to people like that's legitimate, it's authentic footage that you captured of something in the air. And I think the most awkward part of my sighting was that part when it was just not moving. Like it's so like, there's no explanation for it when you see it in person. To just see something stuck in the air, it just like literally takes your mind and just flips around, because it's like, how is that possible?
Yeah, exactly.
I think of drones, because drones do that, but they stick out, and
Right.
and that's what I was saying with Ryan Graves. That was interesting is when when you're in the air, you don't have to consider that. You don't have to consider the airspeed so much, because sometimes there's like the jet stream, so there'll be 100 knots or 150 knots out of some direction.
Yeah.
But since when you're fighting, right, you're usually about 40 miles away when you start, 50 miles. So in that time, you're all moving together, so it doesn't come up. Nothing really stays, just like you're talking about, Andy. But drones do. Drones do. You give them to hover over something. They're filming over your house. They'll sit in the same location, but your eye catches that. Because it's weird. You're not used to seeing, something just sitting there in the same location. But drones do that. Balloons don't. Somebody else asked me. The box orb. They're like, could this? It sounds very much like a reflector in a weather balloon. And I was like, no, it doesn't.
Mike, sorry, I was just going to say, at what point does a drone get hit by headwind and start moving different to something that's stationary? How much wind pressure can a drone withhold before it just starts swaying or something like that?
You have to see something, right? Because it's using the, it flies. So if there's a wind, if there's a force coming here, it's going to push it, and then it will have to overcorrect. Like I tried to explain in my last video, it would have to overcorrect this way to counteract that force, and then it would go back. So if you do look at drones, they're always going like this, just like you're talking about. Vinnie,
and you'd see that in the camera, though. You'd see that in the FLIR, in the movement, even if it's a tiny little movement.
Yeah. So my question, Dave, my Dutch followers, I'm gonna probably share this. Maybe we can give a little bit of a context to what you do. You work on FLIR cameras, so this is your profession. Maybe elaborate about that a little bit.
Yeah, no problem at all. I'm a depot level FLIR technician, so I have a background in Navy aviation, electronics, avionics. That was what we call it. For the last 15 years, I've been working on these FLIRs, not necessarily naval FLIRs or FLIRs, but FLIRs of all different sorts. I try to keep who I work for and the agency I work for to a secret, and just for personal reasons. But yeah, we tear these things down to nuts and bolts and build them back up again. So over time, you become more and more familiar with the equipment, and there's a lot of crossover. There's a lot of similarities between the systems. So what I'm trying to say is I can look at the FLIR video and get a pretty good idea of what's going on inside the systems. And I just continue to this day, it just continues to change. We went from analog video to digital video, and there's improvements and upgrades along the way, as far as hardware and software. So I've been kind of pretty deep involved into it for the last 15 years.
So it's safe to say
my hats off to you, sir, Dave, because of course I saw the Boki debunking you did, and
Thanks.
I really enjoyed that, and that was great work, sir. And I'll leave it to that.
Okay, appreciate it.
Yeah, excellent. We had just to tag on to that from Trevor Mays. How long was it visible for? Where was it? And the time of day?
I think it was about 10 a.m. because I just got off of my first break, about 10:15 a.m. And it was in December. And let's see, I think it was, let me look, west of where we were. I would assume it was somewhere around Cecil Field Airport by the size of it. And what was the last question?
How long was it visible for?
Oh, okay, the whole time. From this, I guess, total maybe 20 minutes. It just stayed
20 minutes total. It never moved, right? You never saw it
Never
move?
moved.
Yeah.
Right.
And so when you went to get the HD camera, you put this one down and basically you came back, it was gone, essentially.
It's
Right.
interesting how that it was there for 20 minutes, and no sooner you got the better camera, it disappeared.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, hindsight is 2020.
And you look back with this one again. Did you try this one again? And it was gone as well?
Right, because we
Okay.
thought maybe there's a defect in the system, so we started that back up and looked around, and there was nothing there.
That's interesting.
Okay. Have you mill sized it? Have you mill sized how big? Well, I guess you don't know how far away it is.
Yeah, I'm not a math guy, so
Yeah.
I mean, just by relative,
Yeah.
what I see from day to day, I'd say it was like aircraft size, 30
Wow.
feet.
Wow.
Yeah, I guess it would be hard to tell. Yeah, but if you wouldn't know, right? Because say there's no reference.
There's no point of reference.
Yeah, so I don't know how we would figure out the distance. I don't know how we would figure out the distance or the size. I can't.
I mean, I guess there's something you can do with the resolution and the field of view that you're in, and what we figured out before. But,
Is there any way you can tell by like how many pixels you can break out? Like I can for fighting. Okay, so it's difficult. When I teach guys about ranges, because when you're in close, or when you're fighting in close, your missile ranges, depending on the aspect, all change. So you really need to tell, is that 3,000 feet or 2,000 feet? If you're 2,000 feet, it's not going to work, right? But 3,000 feet works. So the way I would teach how to judge distances is actually by detail. So if you can tell level of detail, because the planes actually are quite different sizes. It happens with new guys. With the F-15, it's so much bigger. So people will be a lot further away. They'll actually shoot out of range of missiles because the F-15 is twice as big essentially as an F-16. So they'll shoot like twice as far away. Like, yeah, I'm in range, and they'll be out of range. They'll miss.
wow.
Is there any way? Like, I was thinking, can we do that with cameras? Like, can you tell based on the resolution how far away you are? Like how many pixels? Like this, if we assume it's like a perfect circle, is there something with the pixels we can tell how far away or size? I don't know. I was just trying to get in. Is there any way we can size this thing or determine how far away it is based on like the pixel accuracy?
I think there is based on the resolution, but again, I've had other people do that for me because I'm just not a math guy.
Yeah.
My son is, but
Oh, this is a great question. Any sense of how windy it was that day? What's the closest field? Is it Jacksonville?
yeah, we're in Jacksonville.
That's the closest airfield?
We're pretty close to NAS Jax.
It's really interesting. We're talking about data about this kind of footage because I'm in contact with a scientist who created
Pretty high.
a computer that can actually analyze this kind of data and footage in 3D. And I'm really excited to talk to him about it because he's really into UAP. And he really wants guys like you, Dave, you, Chris, to actually extend him that data so he can work with that.
It looked like around 18 knots. Yeah, it's holding stationary, but at how much wind? Like you brought up, Vinnie. It's hard to get out. It's hard to get wind data at altitude.
Yeah.
We deal with that now with GPS weapons. It's much better, right? Because you provide guidance all the way. But determining the wind model is very important, actually, for like a lot of unguided weapons. And normally it's just like a linear model.
So do you work on equations, Chris, when you're teaching? Do you work on equations based on things like that you just fit in the numbers to fit an equation and get the answers for when you're teaching, that kind of thing?
If it's well, it depends. For manual bombing, like we kind of just lost the art of it. It's so difficult. But it's basically, yeah, you're always dealing with wind, like I talked about. You're flying in the medium of wind, so the jet actually knows what it knows the wind based on its own GPS. So you have wind information at the jet, your level, right? But then you have wind information at the ground sometimes. But you actually look for smoke. So you're trying to find which way is smoke going, or if you can figure out that sort of thing. But it's basically just kind of like a guess,
Sure. No, that's cool.
So but it's good. It's definitely going to be different. So we definitely have 18 knots of wind, or not definitely. I just checked one source.
Well, you'd be able to tell the height with the zoom that you use, right, Dave? Or at least kind of guesstimate how high the object was.
Again,
No.
Yeah.
You need the range or the distance. That's what we need. We need one. You need an angle and a range out, like polar coordinates. Remember
like
polar
a flat
coordinates?
range. Well,
So
my buddy that came over and told me about it said he tried to ping it with the LRF and it just didn't give him a response. So it's either out of range or else it was deflecting.
Sorry, you guys weren't seeing this, were you? I was showing it, but you guys weren't seeing it. Sorry about that.
There we go.
Okay, yeah. So here's the wind data. I thought I was showing it to you. So just one I could find, daily observations. This is from Jacksonville International Airport. Oh, the wrong day. Look at that. Damn it. All right, December 12th.
Oh, 8.
Oh, December 8th. Sorry. December 8th. And
16.
watch it knock 2016. All right. Watch, it's like 100 knots. It doesn't look that windy. Oh, man, nothing.
It was a dead day.
Oh, there we go. Okay. Around 10 a.m. So light winds. Sorry. Yeah, light winds. It looks light, actually. I mean, I don't know why I would say that, but
That's like Vinnie said. You were still seeing in some kind of detail to show that it was a drone.
Yeah, I mean, okay. So lighter winds, that helps. Thanks, though, Trevor. It's like
that's another thing. People, a lot of these objects, when people yell drone, 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 they have a distinct shape. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's pretty obvious to see a drone.
Yeah.
Like, so when you see something like this, it has absolutely no signs of any of what a drone, anything of what a drone would look like, then it's not a drone, And people they just love to yell that out. It's like the new swamp gas and Venus.
It is.
Like drone, drone, drone. And my page, man, if I don't know you and you comment drone and that's it, you're blocked. I don't want that shit on my page. So what's give you some kind of information or explanation as to why you think it's a drone? Don't just yell at it.
Yes, I'm glad you said that because I get that all the time. I want to follow up when people say things.
Exactly.
Even if your reason is wrong, you've got to follow up, and there's a reason why you thought that thing you said. Just give us something to work with.
But it's good also because it helps to, I guess you could say, like try to figure out things with common sense, like not just blurting things out like an idiot. Like you want to have a discussion as to why you think it's a drone. Exactly. And if it's not, then okay, it's not a drone. Now you just figured out why it isn't a drone. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Blurting things out doesn't get you nowhere. You know what I'm saying?
No, we've had these conversations before, Andy, many times, in fact, where we say it could be this, and then we say why, and then the conversation can go on for an hour because we keep giving different reasons, what ifs, and could be this, and based on this, it might be this, and that's why we're saying this. It's.
Dave knows Mick West is the man at that.
Yeah, he likes to move the goalposts.
What's this part at the end, Dave? This so it goes to like is that just a zoom in?
That's a zoom in to the digital.
So when you say digital, what do you mean the digital?
It's not an optical. It's a doubler, but it's not an optical doubler. It's a digital doubler.
Oh, a digital zoom. Okay.
Right.
You know what that reminds me of? That reminds me of the Gulf Breeze footage back in the, I believe it was the early 90s. I forget the guy. There was the guy who took the images of those UAP that, or the massive craft that were like right above the streets, and everybody was saying, "Oh, it's just lamp reflections," and he took footage of that exact same kind of object, and it just literally disappeared. And when they slowed it down, you could see that the object actually shot off like at an instant.
I think I remember that one.
You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
The Gulf Breeze UFO incident.
Yeah, I remember that
Right.
case. But when I just saw that object there on the zoom, it almost felt like it was an object with a smaller circle on top or something like that.
But this
I don't
one,
know
let me bring it back.
If you bring that zoom in, there was one point where it just looked like it had something on the top of it.
It looks
Yeah.
like the heat. Yeah, there's like heat lines coming off of it, or
But only on that one side.
I think that might be.
There, like, even there on that zoom out, you can see it. It's not like a straight oval or anything like that.
So like the black around the white.
Yeah, right there. That's a perfect
Just-
shot.
But look on the
Yeah.
top left as well. There's almost like a tiny little circle.
It's
Yeah.
either something to do with the object itself, or it could be an edge enhancement, which is the characteristic of the infrared camera. That kind
Right.
of, well, it's also seen kind of on the Aguadilla case.
Exactly. That's kind of what I was leading without saying it because I didn't want
Right.
to, but it does resemble stuff we've seen before.
They're the same cameras essentially.
Wow, there you go.
so this
Now,
is
Dave-
East Coast. Yeah, I guess could this be the box orb? You know, is this the circle? You know, the box orb thing that
And what
that
the
Ryan
sphere-
Graves.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Dave, I would like to ask you what went through your mind at that moment when you were experiencing and seeing this. What were you thinking?
Well, I mean, I'm kind of a UFO guy. I'm not going to say I'm, this big impartial person because I like the fact that there might be UFOs out there. So I got excited. I was like, is this actually something that we haven't seen before? And the more I watched it, it was kind of exhilarating. I was like, wow, this is actually the real thing. But very disappointing that I didn't get any movement, it was a thrill, but at the same time, it was a big letdown because I didn't get the big chutzpah.
Yeah. Let's forget what is caught on camera. But what I would like to know, you as a professional, you work with these cameras. At that time, what made you think this is the real deal?
Yeah, again, lack of movement was the first thing. The second thing is I watched it for the 10-15 minutes and I didn't see any glaring or flaring, or as the jet would go off into the distance, you would see it get fainter and fainter because the detector can't pick it up. This just remained a constant image, a constant heat signature just sitting in the sky. So that's what was just, I just didn't know what to think about it. It's just nothing I've ever seen before.
Right.
I know the feeling. It's like you sit there trying to make sense of what it is that you're just like, what? How?
Yeah,
like
you're trying to logically process it and eliminate the usual suspects. But if there's nothing there left, then that's
now
all you're left with.
I'm glad. I'm actually really glad that this is your footage because I know I told you about my story. So now picture this, that you were seeing through the camera, but you couldn't see with your eyes. About 150 feet away from you, and you're looking at it with your eyes, is literally sitting right over your house, and it's a saucer.
Right.
That's what I saw. But like, imagine.
Well,
So-
Dave, I'm so happy you actually caught this on camera, because I think it's so important that professional people who work for the military, who work on certain systems, now have a voice and share what you notice and what you see. And I'm so happy you are taking this chance and putting yourself out there. So, sir, much respect.
Oh, well, thank you. Yeah, I think I've read into my company's policies As long as I don't do this or that, then I'm okay. Usually I give a disclaimer like, you know, my opinions are my own, that kind of stuff, which they still are. But yeah, that's why I keep all that stuff kind of private, so I don't throw myself into possibility of me losing my job. I love my job.
Yeah. Well done, sir.
Thank you.
And this, so let's move on to the A10 video. So the A10 video, which looks almost the same, right? I mean, it looks, well, we can talk about it as we go along. But so I guess, how did we get the A10 video? Who can explain that while I track it down?
Oh,
I think it's Andy, right?
Yeah. So basically, I just got a DM out of nowhere on my Instagram, and this individual sent me a few clips. He said he thought I would find interesting, and he felt that needed to be shared. So I went ahead and opened the video clips, and it was, the first was a cell phone recording, and it was like probably not even a full minute, I believe it was. It was a very short clip, and after I saw it, when I saw it, I'm sitting there and I'm like, wait a minute, is this? I questioned the guy like, I mean, there's no tomorrow. I made sure that what this guy was sending me was the real deal. I wanted proof. I made him send me everything that he could possibly send me to prove that he was who he said he was. And he did, which I was very shocked that he actually went ahead and did that, but he proved it. That's
so,
all.
And I just want to say thanks to all these guys, man, that are, you know, it's got to be scary just posting the stuff out there. You know, you don't know who
I mean, I got him. The fact that I got him actually to get the original files was I was shocked, because I didn't think he would do it, because he was very nervous at first, and you know, he has good reason to, because he's going to be retiring pretty soon, so he didn't want this to affect his retirement.
Yeah, it's important to say the length that he went to prove who he was to you as well. We don't have to, obviously we don't, I'm not going to make you spit out all the details, Andy, but like you really verified that guy as well.
Oh, I verified the crap out of him.
I know what was done on that, and I can second that.
Yeah,
he's the real deal.
I made sure, and he said, I have the proof that I can't show, so I know for a fact that the man is who he says he is.
Absolutely.
But yeah, so once I saw the clip, it didn't really hit me until when he finally got me the file, that I sat there and I'm looking at this thing. I'm like, holy crap, what did I get my hands on? And I'm saying to myself, and then it didn't hit me until later. And you know, you see Lue Elizondo on the news, and they're talking about incursions in the air, close calls, and all this. And I'm saying to myself, wait a minute, none of that footage has come out. And then I go back and look at my footage, and I'm like, holy shit, do I have the only footage of this shit so far that's come out? Because no other footage of a genuine object buzzing an Air Force jet has ever come out. And then that's when I realized, holy crap, I think I got something pretty good here, you know?
Pretty huge. And
that's when I, decided to edit it with my buddy there, UFOs Worldwide, and posted it on YouTube, and it's got 53,000 views. Nothing crazy, but it went pretty viral for a UFO video. It was all over Reddit and everything, and I was like,
"Oh, that's a football stadium, dude."
I wasn't expecting that. You know, I knew it was a significant video, but I was pretty taken back at the response that the footage got. But it's Dave is already analyzed it himself, and Mick West tried to say that it was a bird.
Dude. Where's a fucking bird? What the fuck?
A bird flying at what, a couple hundred miles per hour?
Dude. A bird chasing a loud, noisy as hell A-10. Come on,
you know what I mean?
man.
Like, there's no freaking way any bird would be doing something like that at all. Not only that, but the fact that when it turns around and starts coming and starts going, I don't want to say chasing, because I don't want to say that it was chasing it, but following the A-10.
Yeah.
It was actually catching up to it. So how is that possible that it's a bird? You know what I'm saying? There's just no way. And you would have seen that, just like Dave showed in his footage.
Exactly. Dave Put that
You
to
know,
bed.
he
Put it
just
to bed.
confirmed what I was saying, because I'm like, I went online and I found footage of birds filmed with the same type of equipment, and it was like night and day. You could see clearly. I mean, you could damn near to see each and every single feather on the bird's body. And then I look at this, it's like, there's no way that's a bird. Absolutely not.
But what's your take on this, Dave? So, what was your basic analysis? Is it the same thing you saw, or what do you think?
Yeah, I don't know what it is, but I know what it isn't. That's usually my approach. So like the next day after seeing this from Andy, I went out and I started looking around, and all I could find was vultures, you know, just riding the thermals up in the sky. So I took some video of that, and I said, well, I need to wait until I see some little birds to actually confirm, because, you know, let's just assume that it is a bird. So I found a bunch of little birds. It looks like they're chasing insects or something, and I put that video out, and I'm pretty sure in the comparison of those two videos that it's not a little bird. It looks pretty put to bed, as I think Vinnie put it.
I mean, this part right here, and I think that's a huge thing. Is basically prove, you know, because it could be some crazy atmospheric condition, right? I mean, or it could be like a magnetic anomaly or something we don't know about, unless it's moving in relation to our fighters. You know, like that time when the Tic Tac, you know, climbs up with Fravor. You know, when he's like flying with Fravor.
Yeah,
that's totally, you know, I think that's a huge difference. You know, is it out here just sitting there and not doing anything, or is it moving in relation to us, to its surroundings? You know,
very important point. Very important.
Then now you can say it's hard to say it's related to the camera if it's moving in relation to the object that you're filming.
Yeah,
Like it's aware of the object.
Exactly. Yeah. So we're here. And to be honest, I haven't even fully analyzed this. You know, I haven't looked at it much at all. You know, I looked at it like, that's crazy. You know, and all right, let's look at gimbal or go fast. I mean, there's just so many things to analyze.
I'm not gonna lie. When I saw that footage for the first time, I had a weird boner.
This one,
you always have a weird boner, Max.
I'm not gonna lie.
It's a good sign when Max has a weird boner.
It was so weird.
It's so weird. That is weird, actually.
No, Max is weird.
What's
True
interesting, so Ryan Graves, he said it was, you know, at least in the visual observation, that it was 15 to 30 feet is what the guy says. It's as it splits their formation, right? The box orb splits their formation.
Yeah.
15 to 30 feet, which is larger than I've kind of had in my brain for these things. And one of the reasons is like here, you know, because you look, an A-10 wingspan's pretty far. I think it's like around 60 feet.
Yeah. What is it? 45 or 60?
I want to say it's longer. We should look it up real quick. It's longer.
I got it.
Yeah, can you guys track it down?
Got it. 18 meters.
What is that in feet?
18 times 3.
57 feet.
Okay. Okay, so yeah, it's about the length of a Hornet, so about the same. So yeah, A-10 has really wide wings. We make fun of them for being so slow all the time. But if you look at that, right, assuming this thing's in a, like equivalent range, look, you know, I'm just guessing here, but it looks a little bit closer, like maybe a few hundred feet or maybe 1,000 feet closer, something like that.
Yeah.
But if you look and you measure, it only measures off of the A-10 like 6 feet.
Yeah, that's what I got.
Can actually physically measure it.
Yep.
Yeah,
What did
I
you
said
guys get?
5 to 6 feet.
Yep.
Comparing with the size of them.
5 to 6 feet.
But now here's interesting. This sighting actually is occurred over Tucson, Arizona, or near the facility, near the area of Tucson. And I'm not sure if you've been following the news in February of this year. Border Patrol and Tucson police had an incident in the air with their choppers. Well, actually, first it was Border Patrol, where they almost hit an object in the air, and then they radioed in, the PD to come and help them out, trying to, chase the thing down and figure out what it is and find out who's flying it around or whatever. They couldn't catch it.
Was that the 45-minute like audio only?
Yeah.
call? Yeah, where it's hovering above their rotor.
It was flying circles
flying
around
circles around two choppers. It's going out of range of the choppers to 14,000 feet. It's going for miles and not losing any kind of capabilities.
And you heard it in the audio, Chris. They were mentioning the battery time. They were like, "Oh, this thing should be running out of battery soon."
Yeah,
and it never did.
Nope.
So it's interesting to see this footage actually occurred around the same area, the same general vicinity, and it's almost an identical object as to what they had claimed to see.
Because it's way out in Tucson, and you know, it looks similar. Very, I mean, obviously it's just a circle or a sphere, but it looks just like the Omaha spheres. You know, those ones that went down. That's why I kind of got in my brain that it's smaller than this 15 to 30 foot number, but you know, could be. I was thinking that could be wrong though, because you know, he's getting that. He's just looking between him and the F-18, right? So how do you really shape something you've never seen before, or how do you really size something you've never seen before? You know, I don't know if you can. If it's just a ball, like it could be a ball much closer to you at 6 feet, or it could be just twice as far away or whatever and be 12 feet.
Now, do you guys think other systems would have picked up on this too?
Depends, doesn't it? It depends.
Because
did they call it in?
Did they call it in? Was it
so many possibilities?
I would assume that what's it called?
The Air Force or the base
would have caught, you know, or picked up the object.
Radar.
It kind of looks like they knew it was there or around the area, or possibly investigating the location, because they did do it. What happened, Vinnie?
I was going to say, one thing we heard, or I noticed about the Tucson drone case that you just mentioned, was that apparently it had a single visible green light on its underside, which was not blinking, but it really was. They struggled to keep it in focus on night vision because it happened, in nighttime, which is bizarre. There was no flashing lights, which you might associate with some standard drone technology or something.
Yeah,
obviously it could be manipulated to have a standard light, but when you put all the pieces together with the movements and everything, I've kept a close eye on this case. It doesn't add up to anything normal. You know.
Well, also you could hear the reaction of everybody that was, you know, when as this whole incident was going on, you could the reaction alone was, okay, they genuinely have no idea what it is that they're chasing.
No,
calling it a drone, of course. What else are you going to call it? You know.
Exactly.
But you could hear it. They were all like perplexed. They're like, wait a minute, what? It's going here? It's high now? How high now? Like
exactly. Every time they thought they were getting close to it, it would toy with them, and then it would just shoot up to 14,000 feet, sit in a cloud bank and just wait for a minute. They'd lose it. Then they'd obviously fly somewhere. It would then reappear somewhere around them, behind them, to the side of them, flip around them again and just toy with them. It was an absolute, this is not something that's being controlled from 5-10 miles away through some system of guessing, because they can't see it that clearly when it's getting that close to choppers.
Vinny, they also, I don't know if you heard, they also looked to see if they could find any kind of van or anything that was in the area. If anybody was controlling it, and they came up with nothing.
Do you have any other info, Andy, about this particular? Did they go to optic? Did they ever try to see if it was there in TV mode?
I believe the object was caught something like 11 o'clock at night, so
they
wouldn't have been able to see anything anyways, even if they did.
They didn't have it hooked up to many sensor systems either, did they? Because they were strictly looking for border crossing people, weren't they?
Yeah, I think what caught their attention first was the A-10 when they first were first looking. It was for the A-10 they were looking at.
Yeah.
And then the object came into view, and as you saw, if you play it from the beginning, you'll see they were focusing on the plane. Then all of a sudden, when the object came in, they lost all focus on that and started focusing on this. So, I mean, you would think that, trained observers are going to know if it's a bird or not. Plus, they're out there every night. They're going to know what birds are out there, what birds are native to the area. So why would something like this catch their attention and, and film it for as long as they did? You know what I mean? Like, that would be kind of stupid on their part, that they'd be sitting there mesmerized by a bird in the middle of the night.
and Dave, did you notice it seems to do like the Agua Dia Or do you think that's just normal IR pixelation or something? See how it's not a full circle? It's just kind of,
It's blipping out a little bit.
Right.
It's morphing.
it looks like Agua Dia a little bit, you know? I don't know
Yeah.
if that's just the atmosphere interfering or which.
Now,
What
do you think? Okay, so let's just say hypothetical that it really is something that's not ours, using some kind of advanced technology. Do you think that what you're looking at is the distortion of the gravitational distortion that's around the craft?
Ooh.
Good question.
Yeah. Because it does seem to change its whole structure, which I'll segue off on something else, but it could just be the limitation with the camera as possible, but it's really hard. The only thing I'm looking at, to tell you the truth, is actually its movement and its thermal signature, but I'm not looking at it. So yeah, that is weird looking.
Well, it takes me back to one of the interviews I did with Lue Elizondo, and whatever the behavior of these things is and what we observe, something between space and time. So whatever we observe might move a lot faster, but in reality, it's not going as fast. But you know, these are just things Lou elaborated on. But it brings me back to what he said.
I mean, how would you know what you're looking at if you've never seen it before?
Yeah, exactly. But that's a good point, Max. I mean, if you don't know what you don't know, then you know you can speculate till the cows come home about that. Because if it doesn't fit anything that we do know, then yeah, I mean, it does seem to morph almost a little bit.
Yeah.
Could that be part of the system? I don't know. I'm not the expert. Dave, Chris, you guys have seen things.
I do. Yeah,
maybe?
I do think that whatever we observe is something, you know, it's just unknown to us, and you know, we're trying to find out. Like scientists like Avi Loeb are now jumping in, and you know, they are creating new systems to observe whatever this is. And look, what we are looking at right now, we are just I guess pioneers, you know, and sticking our necks out and you know, extending this to the rest of the world, but we just don't know.
No, but if you look at shout out Trevor Mays here in the comments. Sorry to jump in on your comments here, Chris.
Perfect. No, please.
It looks like an out of focus bird with flapping wings. The camera had been focused on the warthog, which could have been farther in the distance, so maybe it didn't readjust coming back to the object. But
Look,
I think Dave, you might have covered that
come on.
before a little bit.
Yeah, Chris, is it possible to pull up my comparison video?
Yeah, let's bring it out. I think I had that one up first, and then didn't work. Wasn't working. That's all right.
Yeah, it's like it
me
captures
close it.
details so well.
Yeah,
these cameras,
exactly.
but it's just
It's
you would
not.
believe me. You would know. You would know. I mean, you saw the shape of the A10 when it was caught, when they had it on the camera. You saw how sharp and distinct it was, and then to have another object right next to the A10 be blurry, it just there's no way.
There you go. You can see that even.
Oh yeah, look at.
Even in low contrast scenes, you can see the wings flapping.
Big
That's
fly.
the Neo camera.
That's a bird.
So it's flying all erratically. It's pretty much in focus.
That's another thing that you mentioned. I don't mean to cut you off. The erratic part. All these birds that fly in the air, they don't just fly straight. They don't fly in a linear, straight fashion. They're using the wind. They're using all of that, you know, to stay buoyant in the air.
They're hunting. Looks like.
So you could just the movement alone tells you that it's not a bird. It just can't be because it's moving. It's I like to use the word mechanical because that's the only way, you know, like I could distinguish between the two. You have nature when it flies, it's not mechanical, it's chaotic in a sense. But
is this the same video? Is this the same system too, Dave? Like the same FLIR?
Yes, same system. There might be little small differences, but that's the same camera, infrared camera.
Does the focus change? You know, if
no, because you can manually focus. It's not an autofocus in the infrared.
And
So
then
you
in the
would-
same video, you have the A10s as well, right? I think.
Right.
I can go back to it.
If it changed, you would see a little slider bar down at their bottom underneath the EXP auto or somewhere around there. And it'll, there, see right there? That little pepper, the
Yep.
triangle upside down, that's
Yep.
going to show you if it's changing in focus.
But I mean, it is good. It's a good question. Let's see.
Definitely a good question. But if it's different distances and we're looking at a bird closer to the camera and stuff like that,
But the thing is, again,
we'd see that. We'd know that just by the data being put out by the system.
but Trevor,
And
just
it ain't no big bird. It ain't no phoenix or anything that's like massive.
I know. But just to clarify something with Trevor, my source was really like, he was kind of upset when people were saying, "Oh, it's just a bird. It's just a bird," because he put it like this basically: we're literally trained to spot, to know what everything is in the air.
Yep.
You know, like to make that kind of mistake is like I said, it's stupid. You know, like it's pretty embarrassing on their part when they've had all this training and they're out there doing a job that requires visual observation all the time to mistake something like that. You know, they're looking at these things day and night through this equipment, so they're going to know the difference between the two. Understand?
And, it looks in focus to me. Is there a way to, Dave? I think I've asked before, but I don't know if you've thought of a way to tell if it's in focus. Like if,
Yeah, you'll be able to
something's
see-
actually in focus.
You'll be able to see if it's out of focus because it'll look like an orb.
Like a perfect orb.
Yeah, it's obvious that it's too close or too far. Well, not too far. If it's closer than the distant object, it's going to be like an orb that's going to have a faint halo around it.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like you can even see like, you know, the sphere. You can see like the structure on the sphere up here at the top. I mean, maybe hard on your screens, but I mean, it looks in focus to me. That's why it looks like like it's in focus. I don't know how else to explain it. There's defined edges around it, you know.
And
That's
if we're
how it
going to
goes.
say, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
If we're going to say if it's six feet approximately in comparison to the A10, then if it was that big, if it was a bird, it would have to have huge wings for lift to carry this thing, not even calculating the speed of it flying. I mean, there's just too many inconsistencies with it being a bird.
Another thing though too, Dave, is I actually looked into the native birds of the area, native night birds, and there's only 3, and out of the 3, neither one really fly like that at night. Like they're lower down to the ground hunters. They don't fly up high like that, and they're a little bigger too. So you would actually be able to tell. I mean, you would, like I said, it'd be clear as day if it was a bird, because I think it's only I believe it's like a hawk, owl, or something like that, and there's another type of bird. Those are the only 3 in the area that are around. So that's why it would be even easier for them to pinpoint or say, okay, yeah, that's this bird or that's this, because there's not many of them to really like get confused with, you know.
And you have drones. Did you film any drones, Dave, over the years?
Yeah, I think this is the drone. Give me just a second.
Okay.
This is one I have right here that I made.
Let me see. How do I get you?
Wow.
I'll link you.
So
Whoa.
it's got a GPS antenna here on top. Your standard GoPro. I built a laser right here. It's got its own separate little laser power supply. I'm not sure how legal that is, but we'll just. It's just a laser pointer, so it's not anything that's going to do any damage. And then you got your flight controller here up on top, and you got your blades. You got your electronic speed control, and lithium polymer batteries, LiPo batteries. Let me show you this little power supply. Sorry, power supply for the laser. So I'm pretty familiar with how to, I built this myself, so I know what they're capable of. It's probably about 25 minutes up in the air tops, and that's with one of the bigger batteries that you can
What
get.
about speed?
I would say 30 miles an hour.
Wow.
Something like that with that much of a payload on it.
I mean, the Tucson case we mentioned, but they captured it over 100 miles an hour.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no way. No way at all.
100 miles an hour over what, 45-minute chase?
Yeah,
At
and there
at
were
70 miles they chased it.
there were 30-mile-an-hour headwinds, 40-mile-an-hour headwinds it was flying into and stuff like that.
In drones, they're going to have a heat signature to them. They're not going to just be a blob. They're going to have. You see the spinning blades. You can see it right there.
Oh, there's another thing real quick before I forget. One major thing. If that was a drone in the Tucson incident with the choppers, in your opinion, would you not think that the disturbance of the wind of the air from the blades of the choppers would throw a drone like that out of whack?
Yeah, that would be a pretty good
time.
assessment. Yeah.
Right?
Right.
Yeah, so I mean, it wouldn't show up as a perfect circle. I mean, we would see it moving.
Right.
You know, it doesn't look like it looks clearly like a circle. You know, the A-10 video. I don't know, how could it be described as anything else? Could it be anything else? I guess that would be the question.
I mean, it could be other things.
Good question. Just the A-10 was so Andy, could your source see it with his naked eye? I guess. Did anyone see any colors out there, or did the pilot see anything? I think he didn't.
Well, the pilot. That was one of the things I was asking my source about, was if anybody investigated, the Air Force Base. But what he did tell me was that they did get a visit from two suits from the Air Force.
Yeah.
That took copies of the footage direct from the truck itself. And the only thing they never asked anybody any questions. They just went there, found out about the footage, got copies of it, and that was it. They left.
That's it. They didn't ask any questions or anything.
No questions or nothing. Which is interesting though, because if it was a bird, then I guess someone at the Air Force is an avid bird watcher because they wanted that footage.
And it was just two guys in suits, or what? Can they say?
Yeah, from what I understand, it was two individuals in suits that requested the exact truck, went to the truck, downloaded the footage. He said he was actually surprised. He said that they didn't delete the original, but they just took copies and left. He said nobody got asked any questions. Nobody was interrogated, nothing like that. They just came, took copies, and left.
So, and has he had any blowback, or has there been any negative effects for him, releasing this, or any issues?
I've kept him anonymous now this whole time. So
yeah. So no problems then, right? For him,
no problems
so
on
far,
his anymore.
Yeah. Okay, nobody's searching for him. Nobody's contacted you. Nobody's hunting for him, essentially, right? I mean,
no, not that I know of.
I mean, the hope is more people come out and relate these stories, then it'll encourage more people to relate more.
Well,
stories.
that was the reason why he did it. That was his main reason. He wanted to. He said basically he was upset at the fact that he knows that there is more footage out there, especially from Department of Homeland Security. He says you hear stories all the time. So he says there's guaranteed either more or better footage out there.
Yeah. And
that he wanted to put it out because he was upset and he basically, like you said, he wanted people to come forward and release or, tell their stories or whatever, to start bringing this subject to light the right way,
Especially, right? Because do you talk about your experience? Is that...
I tell everybody, whoever wants to listen, I tell them.
So when you were 17, you saw this, why don't you just relate it real quick so we can talk through it?
Yeah, I'll make it quick. It was like mid-90s. I was about 17 years old, and it was my mother's house, the backyard, cleared, sunny day, about 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon. There was zero clouds. It was a crystal clear day, really nice day. And it was just me and my cousin. We were in the pool, and like, I don't know why, something just kind of told me to look up. And when I looked up, I saw something, right, general area over my house. And I kind of did one of those double takes, like I saw it and looked back down and then looked up again. and right there it was. I couldn't even now. Just every single time I tell the story, it's like I relive the entire experience again, because it's just so profound. You know, like it's such a life-changing experience. And so right over my house, and I'm telling you, Chris, no more than 100 to 150 feet away from me was a perfect disc. No lights. It's just sitting there. And you could see, I was able to see the surface. I was able to see the sunlight reflecting off of it as soon as it began to move. It was like it noticed that we saw it, because the moment that we looked up and you know, and grabbed the fact that, you know, that it was there, it just started to like in the footage, just static, and then all of a sudden it just started to move, like just out of nowhere, like with no propulsion or nothing, just moving like that. And we literally sat there, jaws dropped, just sitting there, nobody saying a word. We're just looking at this thing, and it started moving to the left of us until it reached the tree line, and then we couldn't see it anymore. But I would estimate this thing was probably about 50, 60 feet in circumference, you know, in diameter. I mean, it was pretty decent size. You know, it's like if you took a half dollar and you held it at arm's length, it's about as big as it was. Yeah, it was incredible.
And you said completely clean underneath, right? Just like silver almost?
Absolutely smooth. There was nothing underneath. I wasn't able to see the top of it because of the where I was standing, the angle. So I was only able to see the bottom. But it was like I would have to say sort of like a lighter gunmetal color, and made absolutely no sound whatsoever. And yeah, after that day, it was a wrap. My whole thing just went womp, and it was.
But you said you were depressed after that for you know, quite a few years, because nobody would believe you. Everyone thought you were crazy. I mean, I love we just let all these thousands of people around the world just think they're crazy. You know?
I know.
Yeah, you're crazy.
I tell Vinnie and Max all the time. It's like I get so mad now that it's such an open topic now, and people talking about it like it's nothing. Oh, UFOs, fucking Tic Tacs and shit. Like, screw you, man. You know how many? And Vinnie knows, and Max knows how I feel about this. Like, I really did. You know, for many years I suffered because, you know, the psychological impact of something like that and not being accepted by, you know, your fellow humans when you tell them the story, it starts to fuck with you, because it's like, all right, first of all, what did I see? Number one, why did I see it? You know, and why me? You know, like why did I happen to be there at that moment? You know, you have a better chance of hitting the lotto 3 times than being at the spot where I was and having this object sitting over your house, and you happen to catch it for almost 3 minutes and seeing it, you know. And it's not like how we say, you know, people see lights. No, I saw the actual thing, you know, like you walk out your front door and look down the block at someone's car parked at the end of the block. That's literally like how close it was, you know? So, I mean, that's why I tell people, I'm like, you could try to understand what I'm saying, but you're never going to, because something like that is just, you have to experience it to understand. It's just.
Yeah. And we talked on the phone, I remember, and I asked you, I don't know what it felt like, etc. But you said it's kind of like a religious experience. Basically, you're like seeing like something, you're seeing like Jesus Christ there, you know, something that doesn't exist, or
that's the only
exist. Maybe not Jesus, but
exactly. But hey, it's just, I mean, that's why I use that analogy.
You said Jesus Christ, yeah. So I was like, you know,
because everybody goes to church and worships this being they've never seen before. You know what I mean? They pray to it and live their life believing it exists. They've never seen it, but if it appeared right in front of them and then it disappeared, and they go and run to someone and tell them Jesus appeared to me, they could be like, "Fuck out of here! What are you smoking?" You know what I mean? Yeah. So that's why I use that analogy. It's like it's the exact thing. If like Jesus Christ himself appeared in front of you and then just disappeared, and you run and tell somebody, and they're gonna look at you like you got 3 heads. That's the same thing.
On that note, I want to commend my brother Andy. You know, I've had my experience, and I'm a journalist covering this topic in Holland. And you know, people like you, Andy, and maybe Chris, and they, you know, let's create a loud noise and a big international voice, and you know, let's create awareness and keep this train moving.
You know, it's we've already gone an hour and 10. I thought it was very effective so far. We could just maybe cover a final point here, Max. And
Sure.
do you have a couple, just like 2 minutes? Would you be willing to share your experience? I'm honestly just curious.
For sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, it's weird. I wasn't a big UFO guy at all up until 2017. The New York Times article dropped, and it made its way to my country, the Netherlands. And as a journalist, uh, I couldn't believe what I was seeing. You know, I couldn't believe what was actually being brought out. And I thought, you know, mankind is going to change now. Everything is going to be different. But it didn't. It wasn't. Nothing changed. People were so complacent, apathetic to whatever was happening. And I'm working for a couple of Dutch newspapers and magazines. I'm a documentary filmmaker. So there's one particular magazine I thought they're going to cover this. So I went to the editor in chief. I said, look, this New York Times article dropped. I want to cover this. I want to, you know, dive in. And he said, no, I'm not going to do it. And it took about 2 years. He got fired. New editor in chief came, and I pitched the same story. And I said, I need to cover this. And this was last March. And he said, okay, go. And this was, of course, when you know, the 180-day ultimatum was going on. So he said, okay, you can cover this. So I started with James Fox. And that's when I actually got acquainted with the UAP community on Twitter. And I saw all this information being shared, and I started interviewing more people. And we're talking about Lue Elizondo twice, Sean Cahill, Harry Reid, Senator Harry Reid, um, Avi Loeb, Lieutenant Macmillan, um, Jeremy Corbell, and you know, it ended up in 3 full editions of the magazine I'm working for about UAP. So this is basically what I'm doing. I'm the only idiot covering this in the Netherlands, and I'm actually quite successful in it because now the newspapers are writing about it.
I found people
And
are very interested in it. Actually, I think way more people have seen these than we think. Actually, that's my
yeah,
guess. So, have you
well,
seen one, Vinny? Have you seen a UAP?
Never,
oh,
never seen anything.
sorry,
I've
Yeah.
seen
sorry.
things. I've seen things before that I've never been able to equate, or I've seen things and then I've used apps to figure out it's the ISS or whatever. But Max, I think, is just about to tell us about his sighting.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah,
All right.
yeah. Sorry, Chris. Uh, when I really started covering this year, I had my sighting.
Really? Okay. So it was
Yeah,
recent. I have a chance still. Is what you're saying. I want to see one of these things, man. I'm gonna
Me
track it
too.
down.
I was,
Yeah.
and by the way, I recorded it.
You did. Excellent. Okay.
I did. I did.
Is it
And
online or anything? Can I look it up?
it is online.
Okay.
And I've been telling the circumstances what I saw, but I'll give you a short version.
Okay.
Um, I have a bad habit. I smoke. But I also have a son. He's not here right now. He's with his mother's. I'm divorced. But I was standing on my balcony when he was here. And, you know, whenever you cover this, you start looking at the sky. So I look at the sky and I see 3 light dots. And they start to rotate like this, like that. And I think that's not normal. So I look around and I see more movement. There's more stuff moving around. So in that triangle formation, these light dots, one of them just lights up and shoots down, and that's what I caught on camera.
And shoots down. So,
Yeah.
okay. Wait, was it over the water or is it over land? What do you think?
No, right over Amsterdam East, where I live. Yeah.
That reminds. There was just one video. Let me see that we were talking about, Andy. That one in Mexico.
Oh yeah, yeah.
It kind of sounds similar. It's just these lights over a city. They weren't really moving.
That's
But
that's I don't know if Dave ever got to see that video. I think I told him about it.
Yeah. So guys, keep talking. Let me look it up.
Okay, sounds good.
So I got a question for you, Chris.
Yeah,
What got you into this?
the same thing. Those initially it was the Fravor interview. I watched that this year. I'm sorry, this year. Let's see. I watched the Fravor interview over Christmas.
Which
And
one?
then with him and Lex Friedman. Sorry, Lex Friedman.
Amazing interview.
Yeah, I watched the interview with Lex Friedman and Fravor. I was never into aliens or anything. I just thought it was. I bought the standard thing. You know, the universe is too big, it's too far away. Light can't travel faster than light. There's no way they're here. And then I watched Lex Friedman. I just, I like watching his podcast once in a while. And that was on there, and I just watched it like straight through. It's like 3 hours, completely straight through. And afterwards, I was just like, blown away. And I told everybody I knew. I was like, "There's aliens," and they were like, what are you talking about? They thought I was crazy. Yeah, basically. And so, but then you just like, you're like, no, it's like, you go on with your life, I look up maybe a little bit more. But then it was the 60 minutes came out, and then the 3 videos again, it kept showing up. And then I made one video about it saying, this is unbelievable. I can't believe they actually said this is legitimate. And then Mick West. So essentially, people were just so frustrated with Mick West. I made that initial. So I retired from the Air Force, right? Came out. I wanted to live in Europe. Looked around. I love to surf and moved to Portugal. It's been amazing. Love it. It's great. But then I wanted to do something. And my kids, I asked them like, "Hey, what do you want to be when you grow up?" And they were like, either an astronaut, and I'm like, pretty good, or a YouTuber. And I was like, no, so I was like, well, I can do. I'm like, YouTuber, like just go do it now, like just go make some videos. Like how hard can it be? It's much harder than it looks actually.
Yeah. So I found it, and I found it. It's right there.
Yeah. So basically, I just started making videos, mainly to impress my kids and just try and keep busy, I guess. And then that UAP video hit essentially, and that took it from there. So
yeah.
Okay.
He caught it. He caught this after seeing the 3 lights.
Yeah, this is the drop.
Yeah. So there's a lot of light pollution. You see the buildings across my my house.
Yes.
So the 3 dots you can't see, but you will see the one shooting now.
That's this one here.
There you go.
Oh,
there you
yeah.
Go. Yeah.
And it goes right behind your house, right? You can see it. It doesn't just go out, right? The light.
No.
So
Andy actually analyzed it.
Yeah, before anything, I actually looked at it because at first, when he told me, I'm thinking in my head, well, maybe he saw a shooting star.
Yeah.
But when I saw the video, it's way too slow. What he caught was actually something anomalous. So whatever it is that he saw, it really did release something, because a shooting star, you wouldn't have seen it that slow.
Didn't it slow down a little bit or change direction?
Yeah, it kind of, if you look at it too, it actually kind of looked like it changed direction towards the end.
You slowed it down and analyzed it, Andy, didn't you?
Yeah, towards the end, before it disappears, it looks like it actually changes direction too.
So what did you think after that? I mean, what did it feel like? Did you realize right away you saw a UAP, or?
I realized immediately I was looking at UAP, because I was looking at a triangle formation moving around, but I couldn't catch that on camera because of the light pollution in Amsterdam. But this was so bright, it just lit up and shut down. And I know for a fact it wasn't a shooting star, because I was looking at it. Actually, it was one of the dots. And a shooting star, you're not looking at a star that's moving around in the triangle formation.
Yeah.
So, and of course, I'm not just pointing my camera at the sky waiting for a falling star. I was filming a triangle formation. So it's no coincidence. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you know, I'm just gonna say this. This was the first time I saw a UAP, but I had 2 more experiences after that.
What kind of experience? Seeing things or with like actual interaction or?
No, seeing UAP in the sky. Yeah.
So you just look up more essentially.
I you know, I've a problem with my neck now. But
You say that, but actually most people don't look up. Honestly,
that's
True.
true. That's true.
You have nothing to
But
fear from anything in the sky.
But that annoys me because I look up all the time. I've been researching this for 10 years and I've never seen anything.
Vinny's always looking up.
Yeah, man. Come on, man. Give me a
Don't
break.
feel, Vinny. Don't feel too bad. Chris has been flying and he hasn't seen anything.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's probably UAPs just flying all around me the whole time I was up in the air. And I never knew. It's just like right behind me, there's this UAP flying the whole time. And
in your blind spot.
Yeah, right in my 6 o'clock. Because that guy's right in the 6 o'clock of the A-10.
Oh yeah.
But that is crazy to me. You know. Thanks for sharing, Max and
sure.
and Andy. You know, because we have 3 people here out of 5. Obviously, you know, you're here for a certain reason. But I've seen UAPs. But like I said 2 weeks ago, you know, I was just with a group of 8 people, whatever, playing poker, and I just asked at the table, "Hey, has anybody seen a UFO?" You know, and they were like, "No." But the guy next to me, he didn't speak English. Actually, he's Portuguese, and he tells his friend, like, "No, I saw one." You know, and then they translated. And actually, he was right around here. He's driving with his parents. They're in the front seat. You know, he's in the back. I think he was like 15. He said, and at a turn circle, this white ball. He said it like descended down, and there was a splash of light underneath it, and then it hovered back up to about 3 to 5 meters. He says, and it like reoriented, and then it shot straight up, like gone. Whoa. And he said there was like this line of light that flew behind it. There was like a white line.
Crazy.
By the way, Chris, let's keep in touch because I've been talking to a couple of Dutch airline pilots, and I got some footage I need to show you.
Excellent. Yeah, for sure. So, yeah, with that, guys.
And you're going to be excited.
Excellent. Yeah. I mean, there's so much data. There's so much evidence. I mean, I can't understand. We're just going to let all these people, we're not going to believe like all of you guys. We're like, no, you know, obviously you don't know what you're talking about, you know.
We're all crazy and see things since the beginning of mankind.
Yeah. Guys, exactly. I gotta bounce.
Excellent. Thanks for coming, Max. Yeah, we'll see you, man. Ciao.
Yeah, nice to meet you.
Yep.
Bye, Dave. Bye, Vinnie. Bye, Andy, my brothers.
Take care.
Ciao.
Any last points we want to bring up? I thought we covered at least the videos that you guys have seen. I love that you had the custody of the videos. You know, like Dave, you took the video. You know, Andy, you know, are friends with the guy that, you know the guy that filmed that video. So we have custody of these videos. And it looks like you can see them better in FLIR than optical, at least in these videos. Yeah. So we're working with Skyhub. There's a Danish guy I'm working with, Martin, and with Skyhub. I know it's kind of falling apart, but we'll try and get a basic system, working system together. I'd like to talk with you, Dave, maybe if you could help on this project. And he's pretty far along. So basically to get a working Skyhub, or at least a device that can start tracking these things or looking for them, and then come up with some sort of model using, I like NFTs and crypto. So I'm going to try and fund it using NFTs, make it more exciting so people are involved in it, and then hopefully that'll work.
Nice.
Try and get these systems out there. So yeah, so I'll be talking with you, Dave, about that later.
Okay. Sounds good to me.
Excellent. So I enjoyed it, guys. I'm happy to do it again. I thought it was excellent.
Yeah, I'd love to have you guys. I'd love to do this on my channel as well sometime. That'd be great.
Yeah, excellent. I love going on other people's channels as well. I don't have to edit or do any of the setting up.
Awesome. I'll hold you to that, man. Dave, Chris, both of you, Andy, all of you. Like, thank you so much, man. I appreciate it.
Awesome, guys. And thanks to Patreons. Thanks, guys. And have a great Saturday.
Thank you too. Take care, guys.
Later, guys.
That was good.
Basically more than I was hoping to get out of that. So happy to meet all these cool people. Just people are interested in this, and I think they're interested in it for the right reasons. You know, they're trying to get disclosure. They're trying to trying to figure out if they were crazy their whole lives. Okay, we've let these people just think that they're crazy. So I don't know. I think it may be time. I think we may be reaching a point here where we are gonna hopefully progress enough. And if it is true, which it looks like it may actually be a realistic possibility, is can we be ready? And I think it could be beneficial to all of us and and the human race. Yeah, it's crazy. Well, anyway, guys, thanks for all your support. Really, I do appreciate it. And I will continue to work as hard as I can on this topic. Take care, everybody. See you. Peace.